Captain Sarah Chen stood motionless at the observation deck of the Ed's Hyperion, her eyes fixed on the alien ship floating just beyond the reinforced glass. The alien craft was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Its hull was a translucent, crystalline structure, glowing faintly with a pulsing blue light that reminded her of a dying heartbeat. The stars reflect off its fractured form like frozen lightning. It had appeared without warning, just beyond Saturn's rings, accompanied by a surge of radiation that scrambled their long-range sensors. For the first few minutes, they thought it was a natural anomaly until visual systems picked up the shape. That was 3 hours ago. Now, it drifted silently, inert and wounded. "Status update," Chen said calmly, her voice steady but laced with tension. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, the Hyperion's lead xenobiologist, tapped through scans on his tablet beside her. "Life signs are present, but weak. The ship's propulsion is offline. Hull damage is extensive, massive energy weapon signatures. Whatever hit them, it was surgical and brutal. Captain, they weren't in a skirmish. They were in a slaughter." Chen exhaled slowly, processing what this meant. For decades, humanity had scoured the solar system, searching for signs of intelligent life. They'd found dead rocks, quiet gas giants, and radiation fields, but never ruins, never signals, never even the whisper of civilization. Most scientists had reluctantly accepted the idea of cosmic solitude. Others feared the opposite, that something was out there, and the silence was not absence, but aftermath. Now, finally, contact, and not with explorers or ambassadors, but with survivors. Dr. Rodriguez continued. "They appear silicon-based. Structural physiology is humanoid, though internal biology is very alien. No traces of active biological toxins or weaponized microbes. They breathe a variant oxygen atmosphere, similar enough to ours to make cross-boarding feasible." Chen nodded. "Can we bring them aboard safely?" "I believe so, but we'll need to act fast." Whatever their enemy was, it left them with little time. Chen reached up and tapped the side of her temple, activating her neural interface. "Helena, initiate docking sequence with the alien vessel. Prep medical bay for unknown physiology, and get me a direct line to Earth Command." The ship's AI responded with its familiar, level tone. "Docking initiated. Medical teams on standby. Please note, Earth Command transmission delay currently estimated at 12 minutes. 12 minutes. In that time, everything could change." She watched as the Hyperion's docking arms extended, slowly locking onto the alien vessel. It would take nearly 20 minutes to fully seal and equalize pressure. During that time, Chen assembled her first contact team. Dr. Rodriguez for biological assessment, Lieutenant Commander James Wu, their most experienced security officer, and Dr. Sarah O'Neill, their leading linguist and cultural anthropologist. They gathered at the airlock in full pressure suits, helmets sealed but faceplates transparent, hands empty, movements slow. Every step had been planned, every possibility drilled. But drills were theory. This was reality. Chen addressed her team calmly. "Stay alert. Stay professional. This could be history, or it could be a trap. Hope for the first. Prepare for the second." The airlock cycled with a low hiss, and they stepped inside the alien ship. The interior was like walking through a cathedral of ice. Crystalline corridors glowed dimly with that same fading blue, as if the ship itself were barely clinging to life. The walls didn't appear to be constructed so much as grown curved, natural, flowing. Everything shimmered with an eerie bioluminescence. The air was thin, but breathable. Rodriguez confirmed with a quick scan. "Within tolerance. Keep masks on anyway, Wu murmured. They followed the soft pulses of light toward what appeared to be the command center. The room was a hexagonal chamber with raised platforms and embedded crystalline interfaces. And there, slumped in strange seats resembling biological thrones, were 5 figures. The aliens were humanoid in shape, 2 arms, 2 legs, but the similarities stopped there. Their skin was a pale lavender dotted with iridescent patches that shifted gently like oil on water. Their limbs were elongated, elegant, almost too delicate looking. Heads large and oval, eyes closed. Dr. Rodriguez moved first, scanning one of the bodies. They're alive, but in biological stasis. Like hibernation, not a coma. More like an emergency sleep mode. Can we wake them? Chen asked. Yes, but slowly. Their biology appears to resist sudden reactivation. If we rush this, we could kill them. Do it, carefully. An hour later, one of the aliens stirred. Its chest rose unevenly. Its eyes opened large, black, and shimmering with complex irises that shimmered between blue and green like fractured prisms. It blinked slowly, trying to process its surroundings. Chen raised both hands, palms open. We're here to help. You're safe. The alien turned its head weakly. Its voice was unlike anything they had ever heard, multitonal, vibrating across frequencies the human ear barely caught. But O'Neill's translator was already working, mapping the patterns, building context. After several seconds of computational humming, words emerged through the device, fragmented but understandable. We, grateful. Help! Not expected. Humans responded. Chen crouched to its level. I'm Captain Sarah Chen, commander of the Earth vessel Hyperion. We detected your ship near Saturn. You didn't send a distress call, but we came anyway. Who are you? The alien's skin shifted in hue, darkening along the edges. Emotional reaction. I am first speaker Xerx, of the Arcadian Collective. We were running. The Dominion found us. Our colony gone. Everything destroyed. Dominion, a single word, heavy, loaded. Chen narrowed her eyes. We've never heard of the Dominion. What are they? Xerx blinked slowly, pain clear in its posture. They consume planets, cultures, peoples. They take resources, break survivors, dominate minds. We escaped barely. Your people, how have they avoided them? Chen glanced at Rodriguez and O'Neill. We're new to this part of the galaxy, only recently started pushing beyond our solar system. Maybe that's why. Xerx's skin brightened slightly. Unseen. Yes, your technology. Not like others. We detected advanced AI, quantum signatures, but no faster than light trace. Dominion hunts traditional progressions, antimatter, warp signatures. They do not expect. Your kind, Rodriguez stepped forward. We focused on quantum computing early. AI too. We're still refining FTL. We took a different path. Different path. Xerx's eyes seemed to flicker in recognition. Perhaps this is your strength. You survived, not by strength alone, but by silence. Silence. Chen felt a chill rise up her spine. Earth's long, lonely silence, once feared as cosmic insignificance, was possibly the only reason they were still alive. How many civilizations have the Dominion destroyed? Xerx's voice was a whisper. Hundreds. The Arcadian Collective was once 30 worlds. Now, fragments. The weight of it hit hard. First contact wasn't a celebration, it was a warning. A cry from the darkness. Chen stood slowly. First speaker Xerx. Earth doesn't turn away those who ask for help. You and your people are welcome aboard. We'll provide sanctuary. But we need everything you know about the Dominion. If they're out there, they'll find us eventually. We need to be ready." Zerk studied her for a long moment. Then, slowly, its skin rippled again, patterns of thought and emotion, expressed without words. "You would stand against them." Chen's lips curled into a quiet, firm smile. "Humanity has never backed down from a fight when innocent lives were at stake. And we've never lost a war on our own ground." She stepped closer, her tone steel beneath compassion. "Tell me about the Dominion, first speaker, and we'll show them what happens when a predator mistakes silence for weakness." General Michael Santos stood in the steel-wrapped command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, deep beneath layers of rock and reinforced concrete. In front of him, a 20-foot-tall holographic display of the solar system rotated slowly, surrounded by shifting data streams, star charts, and heat maps. Red markers blinked across the edge of the Oort cloud, indicating foreign movement. Behind him, dozens of command staff worked silently. The war had not begun, not yet. But the rhythm of war was already pulsing through the veins of Earth. "Show me the Jupiter shipyards," Santos said. "The AI system, codename Helios," responded immediately. The central screen expanded, zooming across millions of kilometers to the industrial marvel now orbiting Jupiter's moon, Europa. Dozens of massive shipyards floated in space, scaffolded like skeletal cities, girders the length of skyscrapers, pressurized hangars larger than any stadium, and kilometers-long railways designed to transport raw materials from the Jovian moons to the assembly lines. And within that floating metal web, Earth's first true war fleet was being born. Warships, predators, not graceful, silver-winged cruisers out of science fiction. No. These were angular, brutal, and dark machines designed by people who had learned that survival was never elegant. These ships were weapons first, vehicles second. Colonel Diana Martinez, Santos's chief of operations, stepped beside him, her neural link shimmering faint blue along her temple. "Sir, First Fleet construction is ahead of schedule. Quantum armor plating is integrating faster than expected. The AI neural control nodes are exceeding performance targets. Timeline? 2 weeks until full deployment," she said. "If the Dominion scouts return before then, we'll need to stall." Santos didn't blink. "They won't make it back." He turned back to the display and studied the most recently completed warship. Ed's Nemesis, hull shaped like a stealth bomber, jet black with quantum-treated plating that bent light and energy. It bristled with hardpoints, concealed weapons bays, and segmented armor panels that could adjust shape mid-combat. This wasn't a ship made for diplomacy. This was made for killing. The Arcadian refugees aliens who barely survived their last encounter with the Dominion had been in awe when they first saw the Hyperion. But when they saw the schematics for the new human fleet, they were stunned. They didn't understand how a species could reach this level of technological maturity without having mastered faster-than-light travel. No warp drives, no antimatter cores. And yet, Earth had developed quantum computing, neural integration, displacement fields, and AI combat architecture. Why? Because Earth didn't evolve in comfort. Earth was a crucible. For 300,000 years, it tried to kill us. And it made us better. "Martinez, how are our guests adapting to interface training?" She flicked her hand, changing the hologram to show a training complex on Earth orbit. Human pilots moved in synchronized drills with Arcadian advisors. They were training with new neural synchronization suits, designed to link consciousness directly to the ship's control matrix. Martinez answered, surprisingly well. The Arcadian silicon-based neurology interfaces better with our quantum neural mesh than human brainwaves. They've already improved drone coordination and introduced new battle algorithms based on Dominion behavior. Santos grunted approval. We'll need every edge. The Dominion wouldn't just show up politely one day. They were predators that had learned to consume anything weaker than them. Until now, they had only faced prey. But Earth had been quietly building wolves. The general turned to another display. Status of quantum displacement testing. Final trials in the Keeper Belt were a success, Martinez said, pride sneaking into her tone. The field masking is 9998 effective. Our energy signature looks like background noise. Dominion sensors won't even know we're there until it's too late. Santos allowed himself a rare, tight smile. Good. Let's see how they like being blind. The door behind them hissed open and a young lieutenant entered, his neural feed blinking red. Sir, priority alert from EDS Hyperion. Captain Chen reports 3 Dominion scout vessels entering the Oort cloud. Course suggests they're sweeping for faster-than-light signatures. Bring it up. The central display shifted again, now showing 3 enormous alien vessels gliding through the darkness on the very edge of the solar system. They moved with purpose, armor glistening, weapons hot. They had never faced real resistance. Santos watched their movements. Efficient, arrogant. They're hunting warp signatures, Martinez observed. They'll never find ours. Still think our ships are rocks. Santos turned to her. How many destroyers are ready? 3, Nemesis, Shadow, and Night Stalker. Launch them. Silent approach. No comms until they're in position. Yes, sir. Out in the vast, cold black of space, 3 ships detached from the Europa yards. Their engines didn't ignite with a roar, they didn't glow. They slid into the void like shadows. Nemesis had no visible cockpit, no windows. It didn't need them. The ship was piloted through a direct neural link. Every part of it, movement, power, weapon, stealth, could be felt by its crew like a new body. Nemesis didn't move like a vessel. It stalked. Shadow and Night Stalker were built with complementary loadouts. One carried quantum torpedoes designed to create spatial fractures. The other carried gravitic snares and disruption webs, field weapons that warped the very environment around enemy ships. Back in the command center, Santos opened a channel to the 3 crews. His voice was calm and sharp. You know your mission. Approach in formation. Pack hunter strategy. Hit hard, hit fast. Show them what happens when the apex predator walks out of the dark. The Dominion ships still hadn't detected them. That was their first mistake. The attack began with Nemesis striking from above. Its main gun, a quantum beam emitter, fired without light, without sound. A lance of exotic particles tore through the Dominion scouts' shields like tissue paper. The beam didn't just burn, it bypassed. It tore open a pathway through folded space, depositing its payload inside the Dominion ship before reality closed again. The scout ship detonated in complete silence, the core imploding before its crew could react. The other 2 Dominion ships began to turn too slow. Shadow and Night Stalker pounced from opposite vectors. Shadow's torpedoes fractured the space around the second ship, folding its armor like origami. Its hull twisted, then snapped inwards as reality itself warped. Night Stalker deployed a gravitic tether that grabbed the 3rd scout ship mid-turn, dragging it into the wake of a detonation. It fired a kinetic spike directly into the vessel's exposed rear reactor. By the time any of the enemy crews realized what had happened, they were already dead. The entire engagement lasted less than 5 minutes. Back on Earth, in the Cheyenne Mountain Command Center, First Speaker Zerk stood silently beside General Santos. The Arcadian alien skin flashed rapidly, bright shock and dark awe, running across its form like flickering code. "For decades, we fought the Dominion," Zerks whispered. "I've never seen their ships destroyed so easily." Santos didn't look away from the screen. "That was just 3 ships. They won't be the last." Martinez stepped forward. "Recovered all 3 Dominion data cores. We're analyzing now." Santos nodded. "Begin simulations. We'll model everything we can from their command software. We need to understand not just their tech, but how they think." Zerks hesitated, then spoke again, more slowly. This changes everything. You didn't just survive. You prepared. While others reached for the stars, you forged weapons. We didn't know who the enemy was." Santos replied. "Didn't matter. Earth prepared anyway." He walked slowly toward the massive wall of displays, watching as more stealth vessels came online, as Earth's shipyards lit up with renewed urgency. Across the solar system, drones moved into position. New bases were being constructed on Titan, Ganymede, and Pluto. Asteroid mines redirected entire celestial bodies into orbital foundries. And deep within hidden labs on Earth, engineers were already building something even stranger: quantum resonance weapons, micro-warp grenades, field-reactive AI. Tools designed not just to fight, but to break the very assumptions of galactic warfare. The Dominion had spent centuries crushing opposition. They were about to find out what it meant to face an enemy built for survival, forged in conflict and hardened by isolation. Because Earth wasn't just raising an army, it was awakening a war machine. The Dominion scouts had arrived at the edge of humanity's solar system like vultures circling a corpse they didn't know could still fight back. 3 massive ships, each nearly a kilometer long, drifted through the Oort cloud with arrogant confidence. Their hulls were plated in what appeared to be layered obsidian armor, marked with glowing etchings that pulsed with power. Heavy weapon emplacements lined their flanks: turrets, particle beam cannons, plasma throwers, all cold and silent, but ready. They weren't sneaking. They didn't have to. No civilization had ever faced them and survived. The Dominion didn't fear being seen. They came to observe, catalog, and if they liked what they found, consummate. But Earth was watching too. High above the icy dwarf planet Holmea, hidden beneath a fractured moon fragment that had been hollowed and refitted into a covert launch platform, 3 ships waited. Ed's Nemesis, Ed's Shadow, Ed's Night Stalker. They weren't the biggest ships humanity had ever built, but they didn't need to be. Their power came not from size, but from silence, from precision, from the thousands of years Earth had spent learning how to fight, not from dominance, but from desperation. Each vessel was shaped like a weapon, with no wasted space or flourish. Black quantum armor rendered them nearly invisible to visual tracking, and their most powerful feature, quantum displacement fields that masked their energy signatures completely. To the Dominion, these ships were just empty rocks. And that was about to become a fatal mistake. Captain Elias Monroe of the Nemesis sat in his neural cradle, eyes closed, heart steady. His consciousness was fully integrated with the ship's systems, thoughts translated into movement, will into action. Around him, in the command chamber, his crew operated in near silence. Their bodies remained motionless in haptic rigs, but their minds danced within the ship's digital soul. "Final telemetry received," said Lieutenant Mara Cho, her voice calm through the interface. "All 3 Dominion scouts are within optimal range. Their scan grid is sweeping inward, focusing on FDL traces. Good, Monroe replied. They won't find any. Humanity had never used traditional faster-than-light travel. Their propulsion tech was unconventional, experimental, quantum tunneling, field folders. No warp wake, no subspace ripple. That had confused the Dominion. It had hidden Earths. Until now, orders confirmed, said Commander Raj Patel, aboard the Shadow, mission greenlight. Pack strategies go. Night Stalkers in position, came the voice of Captain Thalia Rias, cool and clipped. Ready to bite. Monroe opened his eyes, the neural HUD overlaying star maps, ship outlines, target vectors, and threat cones across his vision. He didn't hesitate. All units, he said. Initiate the strike. The Nemesis struck first. Its main weapon, a quantum phase beam emitter, fired with no visible flare. To the human eye, it looked like a flicker in the void. To Dominion sensors, it was nothing at all until their lead scout ship's starboard side vaporized. The beam didn't blast through armor. It bypassed it, temporarily shifting part of the Dominion ship out of phase with reality, causing its internal mass to collapse in on itself like a neutron flash. Before the Dominion ship could react, the Shadow emerged from behind a drifting ice body. Its payload, quantum torpedoes, devices that didn't explode so much as redefine the space they occupied. The second Dominion scout turned, attempting to realign its massive dorsal cannon, but it was too late. The torpedoes hit, folding the ship's midsection like a crushed can. Metal, energy, and crew were smeared across dimensions in a silent instant. On the other side of the Oort cloud, the Night Stalker launched a precision attack using gravitic snares, dragging the third Dominion vessel slightly off course, then following it up with a micro-warp lance that tore through the ship's reactor compartment. The result? A cascading quantum implosion. In less than 5 minutes, 3 Dominion scout ships, each capable of single-handedly leveling a planet's defenses, were reduced to glowing debris slowly freezing in the vacuum of space. Back on Earth, in Cheyenne Mountain's command center, the operation played out across multiple holographic displays. General Santos stood silently as the lights faded from Dominion ship schematics one by one. Confirmed kills, Martinez said quietly. All 3 targets eliminated. No outgoing comms, no distress signals. Any trace of return fire? Santos asked. None, she replied. They didn't even know where to shoot. Santos let out a slow breath, then turned to First Speaker Zerks, who was standing beside the primary command console. The Arcadian's iridescent skin was flashing in frantic patterns, pulses of shock and awe radiating through its semi-translucent frame. You destroyed them, Zerk said, voice trembling with disbelief. That quickly. Without warning, we fought them for decades. They always knew how to anticipate, how to counter. They've never faced humans before, Santos replied flatly. And certainly not like this. Zerks blinked slowly. They underestimated you. They didn't just underestimate us, Martinez said, stepping forward. They misunderstood us. She tapped a control, and a series of simulation windows opened, showing Dominion scanner sweeps. The enemy had been looking for warp drive emissions, antimatter reactors, subspace distortions. Instead, humanity gave them nothing. Our ships don't leave traditional FDL traces. Our reactors use stabilized quantum loops. Our weapons don't generate explosive heat signatures. We don't just fight differently, she explained. We think differently, Santos added. They expected prey. They found predators, far beyond Earth, Aboard the Nemesis, recovery crews began deploying. Small drone vessels, sleek, spider-like machines slid silently through space, collecting fragments of the Dominion wreckage. Commander Cho observed the scans. We've recovered 4 partial data cores. One appears intact. Flag for transport to Europa, Monroe replied. And mark the rest for extraction. No biological salvage, burn protocols only. The Dominion were known to embed biological viruses inside their vessels, neurological hacking agents that could compromise systems or influence behavior. Humanity had learned that lesson the hard way during earlier cyber warfare tests with the Arcadians. Back on the Night Stalker, Captain Rice studied a Dominion hull fragment floating nearby. It still shimmered with residual heat. "These things were built to take punishment," she muttered. "And we cut through them like wet cardboard." "It's not just firepower," said her tactical officer. "It's expectation. They didn't even raise shields. They didn't think they had to," she replied coldly. At Cheyenne, the analysis teams were already breaking into the data cores. Thousands of algorithms tore through the Dominion language protocols, translating logs, targeting patterns, sensor data, fleet deployment messages. One message stood out. It wasn't encrypted, just arrogant. Survey team dispatched. System 3491 appears primitive, minimal space activity. No detectable FDL civilizations. Proceed with scan. Recommend potential for acquisition. No threat anticipated. Xerxes read the message, then looked to Santos. This is how they always start. A scan, then a judgment. Then genocide. Martinez turned to them, her neural link pulsing. They're going to notice this loss. When their scouts fail to report back, they'll send a retrieval fleet. We need to decide if we intercept or let them come closer. Let them come, Santos said quietly. The more we learn, the more we hurt them. 2 days later, the Dominion sent a 4th ship, a recovery vessel. Heavily armed, heavily shielded, it emerged from hyperspace at the same entry point as its fallen scouts, expecting to find salvage and answers. Instead, it found a ghost field, dozens of fake sensors, pings, false energy trails, echoing FDL signatures, all generated by quantum distortion nodes placed by human ships. The Dominion vessel began scanning, confused. Its systems trying to track the conflicting information. The trap was sprung. The Nemesis, cloaked in the outer halo of a nearby ice asteroid, powered up its beam cannon. But this time, the weapon had been modified. A quantum overload pulse designed to erase enemy data in mid-battle was fired directly into the ship's main processor array. The Dominion vessel's shields held for 2 seconds. Then the data centers melted. Its weapons fired wildly, guided by failing algorithms. Then the Night Stalker struck from below, using gravitic anchors to pull the ship out of position. Its main gun fired a piercing payload of compressed plasma wrapped in a quantum singularity. The impact cracked the Dominion vessel like a geode. They didn't recover any of this one. There were no survivors. Back on Earth, the implications were being discussed behind closed doors. They're going to escalate, Martinez said during a high-level briefing. Losing a scout is a setback. Losing 4 ships, including a command recovery vessel, that's going to provoke retaliation. We need to hit first, Santos said. And harder, sir, Xerxes interjected. With every strike you make, more enslaved worlds will hear about it. For the first time in generations, they'll know the Dominion can bleed, that they can lose. Hope is a weapon too. Santos nodded. Good. Let them spread that hope. He stood up slowly and turned toward the wall-sized display, now showing Earth's solar system from above. Dozens of new icons had appeared representing stealth ships, war factories, relay beacons, and orbital weapons platforms. All of it built not for defense but for offense. Humanity hadn't just awakened, it was on the hunt. The stars above Nexus Prime burned red as 50 Earth warships dropped out of quantum space in perfect silence. No fanfare, no warnings, no light, just shadows emerging from the dark like wolves from a forest. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the command deck of the EDS Hyperion, now fully upgraded and designated as the flagship of Earth's first deep space battle fleet. Her neural interface buzzed softly at her temple, feeding her a cascade of real-time battlefield data, enemy positions, atmospheric pressure shifts, quantum node stability, and fleet synchronization metrics. Everything was in place. Behind her, the bridge was calm, not quiet but focused. This wasn't their first operation. This was what they had been designed to do. Status: Lieutenant Commander Wu, now head of tactical operations, responded without looking away from his console. Quantum displacement fields holding. Dominion sensors haven't detected us. They're still locked into their traditional FTL grid. Chen allowed herself the smallest, grimmest of smiles. They're still fighting the last war. The Dominion fortress world of Nexus Prime had never been taken. It was a planetary stronghold, fortified with over 200 warships, 3 orbital defense rings, and massive shield arrays capable of absorbing traditional fleet barrages for days. They had no idea what was about to hit them. Standing beside Chen was First Speaker Xerx, the Arcadian refugee who had once barely escaped this very world with his life. Now he stood as Earth's tactical advisor on Dominion warfare, wrapped in a protective exo-environment that shimmered with subtle pulses from his skin. Xerx looked up at the tactical display with barely concealed tension. "You cannot be serious," he said, voice hushed. We lost 3 fleets trying to defend Nexus Prime. And you intend to invade it?" Chen didn't look at him. "We're not here to defend. We're here to hunt." She opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen," she said, her voice calm. "And even today, we take the fight to the Dominion. Today, we launch Operation Thunderstrike." She paused, letting that sink in across thousands of crew members across 5 dozen ships. "We fight together like Earth's pack hunters. We strike hard, we strike fast. We show no mercy. These bastards have ruled through fear long enough. It's time they learn they're not the only predators in space." Her neural interface pulsed once. "Begin deployment." Dozens of quantum stealth probes launched silently from Earth vessels, drifting into the orbital perimeter like dust. Each carried a device humanity had never used in open battle before: field generators capable of rewriting local physics. Within moments, the probes reached their positions just outside the Dominion's primary detection grid. Then, on Chen's mark, they activated. The effect was immediate. Localized fields distorted time, light, and gravity within the Dominion's perimeter. The speed of light fluctuated, sensors bent, and targeting systems scrambled. Entire shield arrays overloaded in bursts of uncontrolled energy. Defense platforms reliant on predictable constants began firing wildly, unable to distinguish targets. Turrets turned on allies. Some platforms misread gravity vectors and collapsed into themselves. Wu grinned. "Phase 1 complete. They're blind." "Phase 2, Chen said. The Earth fleet decloaked not with light, but with multiplication. Each ship's displacement field created dozens of identical phantom signatures, flooding the Dominion grid with false images. To Dominion Command, it looked like thousands of ships had appeared at once. Their response was panic. "Dominion ships attempting emergency FTL jumps," Wu reported. Let them, Chen replied. What the Dominion didn't know was that jumping through a quantum-distorted field was a death sentence. One by one, fleeing ships tried to activate their warp drives and were instantly shredded as their drives interacted unpredictably with local space-time. We're down to 178 enemy vessels, Wu reported, down from 221, and we haven't fired a shot. Let's fix that, Chen said. Execute attack pattern Delta. The Earth fleet moved as one, not in rows or lines, but in converging flanks, like wolves surrounding a herd. Each unit maneuvered with eerie precision, separating vulnerable Dominion ships from the main formation and dragging them into isolated kill zones. Earth's weapons were not conventional. Quantum pulse lances bypassed shield barriers entirely, overloading internal systems from within. Temporal disruptors caused Dominion vessels to experience minutes of battle damage in seconds. Some ships aged visibly in real time, hulls corroding, engines collapsing. Dominion flagship is attempting to pull power from planetary defense grid, Wu said. Expected, Chen replied. She nodded at the operations officer. Phase 3. From beneath the Earth ships, swarms of autonomous drones emerged, each the size of a motorcycle, shaped like mantis shrimp crossed with wasps, covered in black polymer and pulsing blue interface lines. They weren't traditional fighters. They were hunter-killers modeled after Earth's most efficient parasitic and predatory organisms. Their AI was semi-autonomous, capable of adapting mid-mission. Each carried quantum-corrupted code payloads designed to infect Dominion defense platforms at a fundamental level. They didn't jam communications. They rewrote the logic systems themselves. On the ground below, Dominion commanders watched in horror as their own orbital defenses turned on them. One platform launched a barrage into another. A fleet garrison fired on an inbound friendly cruiser. Their systems were collapsing from within, sabotaged by logic they didn't understand. Zerk's skin paled to a milky white. This is impossible. No species has ever breached Dominion system defenses. Your code is alien. Chen answered simply. It's not code. It's biology. We didn't build software. We built evolution into our machines. Wu turned back from his screen, eyes wide. Admiral, their fleet is in full retreat. They're falling back toward the surface. Shall we pursue? Chen considered for a second, then shook her head. No, let them go. She looked to Zerks. Let them run home. Let them tell their leaders what happened here. Let them spread the fear. Zerk stared in awe. You've done more than defeat them. You've shattered their myth. That was the goal, Chen said. People don't rebel when they think resistance is suicide. But if the Dominion can lose, Zerk's finished for her. Then they can fall. Across the Dominion-held hemisphere of Nexus Prime, civilian signals began transmitting, not distress calls, surrenders. Encrypted messages streamed from underground shelters, orbital elevators, and old Arcadian convoys' pleas for liberation. Identification markers from enslaved species, surrender codes from Dominion-occupied zones. The planet wasn't just collapsing militarily. It was coming apart socially. Chen opened a private line to command. This is Admiral Chen. Nexus Prime has fallen. Minimal Earth casualties. Civilian surrenders ongoing. Recommend immediate deployment of humanitarian support fleets. Priority: stabilize orbit. Extract refugees. Begin infrastructure reclamation. Then she turned to Zerks. In all the Dominion's history, she asked, have they ever faced an enemy who didn't just fight harder, but adapted better? Zerks hesitated. No. They've always been the apex force. They destroy, and others cower. Chen crossed her arms. "Well," she said, "time to flip the food chain." In orbit, the Earth fleet began securing stations. In the stratosphere, the remaining drones moved in precise formations, severing Dominion control over planetary grids, mining systems, and comm satellites. Below, Nexus Prime's surface burned not from Earth's weapons, but from the chaos the Dominion inflicted upon itself trying to counter something it didn't understand. Humanity hadn't come just to win. They had come to redefine the battlefield. In the final moments of Operation Thunderstrike, Admiral Chen stood at the viewport as the blue and green surface of Nexus Prime slowly rotated beneath them. The once impervious world now flickered with distress beacons and messages of surrender. She didn't smile. She didn't cheer. Because this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. "We don't just kill to survive," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "We adapt to win." The fleet's engines flared with silent ignition. New coordinates were already queued. The next hunt had already queued. The next hunt had already begun. They thought we were prey. Now we're in their territory. General Michael Santos stood in the war room aboard the EDS Predator, Earth's newest command carrier and the nerve center of the largest interstellar offensive humanity had ever launched. The massive circular chamber hummed with data feeds from across Dominion-controlled space fleet movements, intercepted transmissions, resistance uprisings, and battle logs. Dozens of tacticians, analysts, and AI support nodes worked non-stop, their neural links glowing with blue pulses as they coordinated the growing tide of human operations. It had been 3 months since Operation Thunderstrike, and the war had changed, not just for Earth, for everyone. "Show me the Dominion's current response patterns," Santos said. The central display shifted, zooming out from a live feed of Nexus Prime, now firmly under Earth's control, and expanding to show a broad swath of Dominion territory. Red highlights indicated active patrols, orange for fleet concentrations, yellow for suspected logistics routes. But the most notable pattern wasn't what was there. It was what was missing. "They're pulling back," said Colonel Diana Martinez, his chief operations officer, "abandoning their outer systems, consolidating fleets around their core worlds. They're bleeding territory like it's not worth defending. They're not retreating to regroup," Santos said. "They're retreating to hide." Xerx, now Earth's senior advisor on Dominion strategy and cultural psychology, moved closer to the display. His skin shimmered with uncertainty, the normally steady pulses of color flickering unpredictably. "This behavior is unprecedented. The Dominion has always expanded. To shrink is to them a death sentence, culturally, politically. This isn't just military collapse. This is existential panic." Martinez's neural link flickered. "We just finished decrypting a new Dominion transmission," she said. "Military-grade encryption. Deep core fleet command. You're going to want to see this." Santos turned as the AI translated the message and projected it in Galactic Basic on the central screen. "Warning to all commanders. Human vessels do not conform to standard engagement protocols. Their weapons bypass defenses. Their technology corrupts control systems. Our ships cannot maintain cohesion under attack. Recommend full withdrawal from sectors 47, 93. Reclassify human threat from emergent to existential." "Emergent to existential," he repeated slowly. "That's new." Xerx tilted his head. "In Dominion military doctrine, that's the highest threat level possible. Above planetary plagues, above antimatter destabilization, above black hole weapons. It's a term reserved for galactic extinction level events." Good, Santos said. They're starting to understand. He turned to Martinez. How are the new hunter-killer drones performing? She nodded. Better than expected. Coordinated swarm tactics with adaptive learning algorithms have exceeded every battlefield simulation. We're seeing a 97% kill rate in independent strike operations. She pulled up a video feed from a recent engagement in the Centauri Expanse. Dominion cruisers, sleek and heavily armored, emerged from slipspace, attempting to patrol a key logistics lane. Before they could even form a defensive formation, they were ambushed by hundreds of autonomous drones, each no bigger than a fighter jet. The drones didn't just swarm, they dissected. Each one struck with surgical precision targeting engines, weapons systems, comms arrays. Some latched onto hulls and began boring into the interior, delivering viral code into shipboard AAs. Within minutes, the cruisers were drifting wrecks. They can't adapt fast enough, Martinez said. Their entire doctrine is built around overwhelming force. They were never trained to fight something smaller, faster, and smarter. They're trying to fight bears, Santos muttered. And we sent in wasps. Zerk's neural link activated. Sir, we're getting reports of planetary uprisings. Resistance movements on formerly subjugated worlds are launching coordinated attacks. They're using human-designed tech, makeshift versions of our infiltration drones. Some are even stealing Dominion ships mid-dock. Santos raised an eyebrow. They're copying us already? No, sir, Zerk said, his voice soft with awe. They're following us. They saw Nexus Prime fall. They're no longer afraid. Martinez zoomed in on a series of planetary systems, each marked with Dominion strongholds. Next to them, new green indicators flashed. Liberated, in open rebellion, overthrown. It's spreading, she said. Like wildfire. Santos stepped toward the center of the room. His voice dropped to something low and hard. That was the plan from the start. We don't just kill their ships. We kill their story. Their legend. Their fear. That's what gave them power. He pointed at the map. We take that away. We break them from the inside out. Martinez's neural feed blinked. Sir, the Nemesis battle group has found something. Santos straightened. Talk to me. Deep recon near the Orange Spur, a known staging area. They found it. The primary Dominion shipyard, hidden inside a massive asteroid field. Dozens of capital ships under construction. It's heavily protected, but not complete. Santos turned to Zerks. Can we strike? The Arcadian skin flashed rapidly, calculating. If you can reach it before reinforcement fleets arrive, and if the facilities are in a vulnerable build phase, yes, but it's a gamble. Santos's voice hardened. Then it's the one we take. The order went out within the hour. Deploy the Phantom Fleet. These weren't traditional warships. They were cloaked assassins, built with the latest in human Arcadian hybrid tech. Phantom-class vessels could alter their quantum signatures to appear as floating rocks. Ambient radiation, even null space. They moved like ghosts. They hit like nightmares. Within 6 hours, the fleet was in position. Aboard the Ed's silent requiem, Captain Monroe, veteran of the Nexus Prime strike, stood on his bridge, watching the Dominion shipyard through layers of filtered distortion. This is a target-rich environment, he said. Command confirms weapons free. Confirmed, came the reply from Fleet Command. Protocol Apex is go. Monroe nodded. All ships, he said. Show them what it means to hunt in 3 dimensions. The attack came without warning. Sensors that had tracked drifting asteroids for hours suddenly realized those asteroids weren't natural. Radiation clouds that had been ignored for days suddenly shifted, revealing the outlines of Predator ships. the Phantom Fleet opened fire. Quantum disruptors sliced through scaffolding and unfinished hulls. Shock waves bent in on themselves as Dominion reactors still under calibration went critical. One by one, construction docks ignited like fireworks. Dominion defensive platforms barely had time to respond before they were hacked, bypassed, or shattered. A few of the newer vessels tried to escape, but their EFTL drives were still in test phase. They tore themselves apart mid-jump, leaving glowing shrapnel in the void. Back on the Predator, Santos watched the aftermath unfold. "Status?" he asked. Martinez's voice came back steady. "Facility neutralized. No Dominion ships escaped. We're collecting data cores and technical logs now. Full asset wipe complete," Zerk spoke, watching the screen with wide, unblinking eyes. This was their primary yard. "You just set back their naval capability by years." "No," Santos corrected him. "We ended it." He turned to the fleet communication node. "Send word to all active groups," he said. "No more hiding, no more containment. We go on the offensive. We find every last factory, every supply line, every refueling station. We hit them until nothing is left to retreat to." He looked at Zerks again. "Your people suffered for generations. Hunted, enslaved, broken. Not anymore." The Arcadian skin shifted into patterns of resolve and awe. "You fight like nothing we've seen." Santos shook his head. "We don't fight like the Dominion. We fight like Earth. That means we don't just destroy. We outthink. We out-evolve, and we don't stop until the threat is gone." As hours passed, new reports streamed in. More liberated worlds, more shipyards destroyed, more Dominion command centers found abandoned. Their empire, once the iron grip of the galaxy, was crumbling. Not just because of human weapons, but because of human ideas. Resilience, resistance, revenge. Santos stood before the strategic map, now dominated by green and gold, the colors of freedom and active operations. He placed one hand against the glass. "They ruled by fear," he said quietly. "Now they run from it." And then, louder, "But we don't run." Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the EDS Hyperion, now updated and enhanced with reverse-engineered Dominion technology, staring at the image on the main display. It filled the entire view. Imperius Prime, the throne world of the Dominion. Its surface burned with a coppery glow beneath layers of protective orbital shields. Floating above it like rings of a hostile planet were three massive layers of orbital defense, supported by a final fleet of over 500 capital-class Dominion warships. This was it, the final stand. For thousands of years, Imperius Prime had been unreachable. No civilization had ever made it this far. Not the Arcadians, not the Solari, not the Tenarch. Every uprising had been crushed before it could even approach the core systems. But now, Earth's fleet was here. 50 human warships, each equipped with weapons that bent physics and neural networks that turned pilots into extensions of the ship itself. Drones, quantum stealth vessels, and the most powerful innovation yet, something developed in absolute secrecy after the first probes of Dominion tech were recovered: the quantum web. "Deploy the web," Chen ordered calmly. Across the fleet, hundreds of microscopic nodes launched silently into space, scattering around the planet and between orbital defenses. Unlike weapons or shields, the quantum web didn't attack. It rewrote the rules. Each node created tiny fields where the laws of physics themselves changed, altering gravity, time flow, light speed, or matter density. On their own, they were chaotic. But together, networked by Earth's AI, they became a neural web of pure control. Within minutes, Dominion sensors began reporting anomalies. Beams curved without explanation. Targeting systems failed mid-calibration. Shield generators collapsed under their own weight. First Speaker Zerk stood beside Chen, watching the feed with silent awe. His skin shimmered with swirling patterns of disbelief. In all the Dominion's history, no enemy has ever even entered this system, he whispered. And now, you control it. Chen didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the tactical feed. They still have a final weapon, Wu said from tactical. Some kind of space-time fracture cannon. Our scans show massive energy build up from the surface. They're going to try to break the battlefield itself, Zerks muttered. A last act of desperation. Tear apart reality if they can't win. Let them try, Chen said. Prepare final protocol. On her command, the human fleet shifted formation into a massive geometric resonance array, each ship locking into a precise vector across 4 dimensions of space-time. The quantum web linked with the array, creating a feedback loop that countered the Dominion's weapon before it even activated. When the fracture cannon finally fired, its beam twisted mid-flight, then looped back, folding into itself like a snake eating its tail. The blast never left the atmosphere. Instead, it shattered one of the Dominion's own planetary defense rings. Cheers erupted across the human ships. Wu grinned. They're breaking formation. Chen stood tall. Now, Earth's fleet struck in full. Quantum pulse beams bypassed every known defense. Gravitic weapons crushed hulls like paper. Drones swarmed with algorithmic precision, targeting engines, reactors, and bridge compartments. Dominion ships built for brute force had no counter to weapons that didn't just kill, but rewrote their existence. Within 25 minutes, the skies above Imperius Prime were clear. Back on the surface, Dominion Command collapsed. Communications with their orbital fleet went dead. Their AI control cores scrambled themselves, trying to process the attack. For the first time in known galactic history, the Dominion asked for terms. "Transmission incoming," Wu said. Chen nodded. "Put it through." A hologram blinked to life on the bridge. A tall, narrow-eyed figure in flowing metallic armor appeared, an elder of the Dominion ruling caste. Its voice, though proud, wavered with defeat. "We surrender," it said. Chen nodded. "Slightly unconditional?" The elder hesitated. "We have conditions." Chen cut it off coldly. "You don't have that luxury." She stepped forward, her voice steady and final. "All military forces will stand down. All occupied worlds will be granted independence. Every species you've enslaved will have a voice in determining your fate. Earth didn't come here to replace your empire. We came to end it." The elder bowed its head. "We accept." Across the planet, Dominion banners fell. Cities that had once served as command centers now opened their gates to freed populations. Signal traffic exploded as thousands of species once silenced began broadcasting messages of hope, freedom, and unity. Humanity didn't just win a battle, they shattered a galactic myth. Later, Chen stood at the viewport, watching as Earth's forces began landing on the surface. Drones scanned cities. Medics moved to aid the wounded. Tactical teams secured weapon caches. But there were no more shots fired. The war was over. Zerk stood beside her, silent. She finally turned to him. "When your people first came to us," she said softly, "you couldn't understand how we'd survived unnoticed. Why we didn't evolve like everyone else. Zark's eyes shimmered. "Now I know," he said. "Your isolation. It wasn't weakness. It was preparation. While the rest of the galaxy expanded, you honed yourselves. You didn't grow outward. You grew inward. And when the time came..." He looked at her, expression humbled. "You emerged ready." That night, Chen wrote a message to Earth Command, her final transmission of the war. Operation Thunder Strike complete. Imperius Prime secured. Full Dominion surrender confirmed. Beginning stabilization and liberation protocols. Recommend establishment of permanent peacekeeping council to guide transition efforts. The war didn't define us. What we did afterward will. Earth stands ready not just to fight but to lead. Epilogue: the lesson in the silence back on Earth. Decades later, children would read about the Dominion War, not just as a military victory, but as a turning point. A point where humanity didn't just prove its strength but its mindset. They hadn't just beaten the most powerful empire in the galaxy, they'd done it by thinking differently. By refusing to follow the same tired trajectory. By refusing to be seen at all until the moment they chose to strike. While others had relied on tradition, Earth had learned from pain. They hadn't always gotten it right. They'd made mistakes, big ones. But every catastrophe on Earth, every war, every collapse, every disaster had taught one core lesson. Strength isn't just in firepower. It's in adaptability. It's in survival. It's in evolution. Earth had been quiet for so long the galaxy forgot to fear it. And that had been its greatest weapon. And maybe that's the lesson for us all. In real life, the greatest power isn't always the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes it's the one listening, learning, preparing. It's the kid who didn't fit in, but kept building. The country that wasn't first, but came better prepared. The company that wasn't the biggest, but found the right idea at the right time. Isolation isn't the end. It's the beginning if we use it right. Because when the moment comes, and we step into the world, we have a choice. To repeat what everyone else did, or to become what no one saw coming.